All right. Well, we almost had the scare of World War III. There's so much turning in the background on the national stage. There's some talk this morning about the fact that the U.S. had been pre-advised by Iran that they were going to strike Israel and that they actually had the time to put the troops down into the bunkers to preserve lives. Now, here's the drama that that creates is that when the US did not respond with retaliation, then in a way, some people are saying that the US virtually condoned it. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics. I'm sharing these specific news points so that you can understand this. There's a lot of powers at play here. And a lot of people believe that Iran gave this strike because they wanted to produce a deterrent from escalation. They wanted to get everybody to begin to scale back their aggression, right? And it could be that the US is also wanting or allowed that strike by Iran, even though we are allies with Israel. It could be that that was allowed so that there could be an overall deterrent and people could begin to step back. These are complicated. I don't understand all of the things that are going on militarily, but what I do know is that we're not out of these choppy waters yet. It may be too early to buy the dip if you're a long-term investor, but there's definitely money to be made swing trading these choppy markets. So this is the Stocks with Josh show today. I'm going to lead things off from a special guest on a very interesting crypto news story surrounding Bitcoin and some of the ecosystem that's developing on the Bitcoin blockchain that could be potentially a game changer from the bearish direction that the miners have been going. This could produce an opportunity that really a lot of people aren't talking about right now. And I'm going to share with you this news story. And the first reaction you guys are going to have after I read the title and what it's about is you guys are likely going to be, what? What does that mean? And I've got a special guest, and he's going to share some thoughts and break it down so that you guys can understand how this might impact Bitcoin and the miners, because we are in an environment that we've never been before. By the end of this week, some people are calling for the halving this Friday as a possibility. And so we have definitely gotten back to all-time highs for the first time before the halving. Now, the halving is a really big event. And this news story makes it a little bit more interesting and a little bit bigger. So let me start by sharing and reading the story with you. Okay, Bitcoin halving has the crypto miners racing for epic SAT, potentially worth millions. Bitcoin's once every 4 years halving this week may be very different from those of earlier epochs. Typically ho-hum affairs. Now an intense competition is underway to mine the first block after the halving, which could contain a rare and collectible fragment of a Bitcoin known as an epic SAT. So let me bring my special guest on. This is my son Judah, and you guys often hear me talk about the fact that we discuss the trends in crypto. This morning, he sent me this news article, and we were sort of breaking it down. What exactly did it mean? And I thought that he would be the best person to explain it to you guys. So Judah, what does this mean, and how could this possibly affect the miners? Because it seems to imply that there is the potential windfall on mining the very first block after the halving. Can you explain it a bit more?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting halving. It's unlike the other halvings because the Bitcoin ordinal system was created in 2023. So this is the first halving that has the potential to distinctly distinguish between all of the different Satoshis that are mined.
Okay, let's
Each of
pause.
these,
I want us to take a step back, and would you just explain what a Satoshi is and what a Bitcoin ordinal is, and why are they important?
well, we'll start with the sats. So Bitcoins are broken up into denominations similar to dollars. Dollars have dimes, quarters, pennies, all that different stuff. And for Bitcoin, it's Satoshis. And each of these Satoshis used to be all the same, nothing special. As of the 2023, Bitcoin ordinals were brought into the code, which now makes each of these sats unique. This is special because this halving, the very first sat to be mined after the halving, is classified as an epic sat.
Okay,
Each of these
real
sats,
quick, Judah, what's an ordinal?
an ordinal is a change to how Bitcoin works, where each of the individual sats in the network are now special. It's a little chunk of history. So each of these sats signifies a moment in time, and they are similar to NFTs that you might find on Ethereum, Bored Ape Yacht Club, all those different fun things. And they are coming out to be the biggest NFT system this bull market.
All right, so if I understand it correctly, we have a blockchain, and each of the blocks that's essentially minted, there is on top of it an ordinal or a space in which something can be written. And once that space is filled up, then it's sort of permanent, canonized, it lives on the blockchain, and because of it, people are treating those spaces, those ordinals, as NFTs. And so whoever gets the opportunity to write on the very first block that's minted after the halving, this has been defined in a scale of rarity that's considered a special place. Now, this article that I shared a moment ago was suggesting that the value of that ordinal could be as high as $50 million. Now, I'm going to tell a little story, Judah, just so everyone can understand this better. You've heard the story, Judah, about the guy that spent, I can't remember, it was thousands of Bitcoin to buy some pizza, right? And that's been considered sort of an epic tale, because if he had held on to it, it would have been worth hundreds of millions, if not billions. And he basically ate 2 pizzas, and it's a sad story, right? The life is filled with those types of tragedies. But what's interesting is that the story was actually created. Someone wrote it and explained it and put it on the Bitcoins that he used to buy the pizzas. And so that story's been canonized into the history of Bitcoin. So whoever is strategically building this understands that all of these different spaces on Bitcoin are going to be permanent places where history is written that's going to potentially exist. It's like a new way of writing history. Bitcoin and blockchain are reaching into every single space of our lives, including how we record history, so that once it's written, it can never change. It always exists. It's permanent. And so now people are getting excited and like, okay, well, I want to bid. I want to own that. I want to be able to write history on this space. I want to take, maybe the anniversary of when I got married or when my son was born, and I'm going to put some information there and make it permanent. And so there's sort of a race for people to acquire these. And now we are getting ready to have this upcoming mining, potentially this Friday. And people are saying that it's going to be referred to as super rare, the very first minted spot on the blockchain, that first potential spot where the first ordinal can go after the halving, is potentially going to be worth upwards to $50 million. And that's the interesting news story that you're kind of breaking down. Do you have any more light to shed on that, Judah?
Yeah, I think the last thing to share is just that this is going to be a unique halving event, because it's the first time that the miners have been incentivized to push. In fact, it could be said that they wanted to slow down a little bit to keep the system going where they're earning more Bitcoin. But this time there's going to be a massive push for everyone to get that Bitcoin. They want it to happen at a certain time. They want it to happen on April 20th, 420, a famous meme number. They want the price of Bitcoin to be 69,000, again, a famous meme number. All of the meme lords and the degens and all of the miners all have their eyes focused on one thing, on that first sat. And it's just going to make for a very unique and fun and possibly financially beneficial halving.
Well, I've got some questions. So there's some things I don't understand. I understand the article, I understand what you've shared with me, but I actually don't understand the process of how this information is actually written onto the blockchain and who gets the rights to do it. I don't know if you actually have to specifically own the blockchain that you're trying to write upon. Do you have any information on that, Judah?
Yeah, so I don't have all the details, but as I understand it, the sats must be in the wallet of the person who wants to write on it. And from there, they use the smart contract that was created by the ordinal system creator, and they can inscribe a certain amount of data on that. It's not a lot, but they can inscribe a certain amount of data on that, and kind of almost carve your name in the tree of Bitcoin forever to be left there, left a mark. I was here.
That's awesome. Well, the big question that I want to try to tackle for the listeners today is what impact could this have on the miners? Is this a game changer for the miners? Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there who are holding some of the miners, the stocks, because it is not run in suit with Bitcoin. Bitcoin went back to all-time highs and higher, and a lot of the miners really capitulated sometime back. And here we are getting ready to get to the halving, where it should actually be more difficult for the miners to mine. The electricity costs basically are going up. The equipment has to be even stronger. They've got to have the very best NVIDIA chips out there to get those processing speeds down to reduce the impact of their electricity. And the only way that a lot of these miners are going to stay in business is if Bitcoin goes up in price from here and we're in an environment in which Bitcoin has begun to trend down because of the macro and the political event. But there's one thing that I've learned in investing is that the market loves to fake you out. And out of the blue, a story just like this one today could hit one of these miners who comes out and declares that they got it. They got the golden ticket. They got the special ordinal space, and immediately that's going to be recognized as an opportunity, and it could cause these miners to jump off their bottoms that they've been currently trending towards. Now, Judah, I don't know if you watched this particular show, but in the last couple of weeks, I've predicted twice regarding Mara that it would come all the way back to $15. Now, how do I know that type of thing? Well, it's actually not that complicated. I'm looking at structural support. And I'm also looking at mechanisms of confirmation. So when a structure is pressed through, when the price action presses beneath structural support and it opens and closes beneath it, that's referred to as a confirmation. Now the miners have all confirmed to be going down from where they're currently at. So they're going to be going down to the next level of support. In the case of Mara, it's around $13. But here's what's going to be interesting. Between now and the halving, which is just days away, if these come down to those levels of support, together with these types of new dynamics and this new story that Judah's broken down for us today, this is the type of thing where on support with news, it could be a reason for these to turn around and we might be back on our journey back to test the highs. Guys, I'm not ever going to be that guy who's a perma bull, who's, I'm not going to be the when Lambo now guy. But I will tell you that I get excited about buying support, especially if the fundamentals based on some news stories are stoking up an opportunity. So we're going to look again at the miners. Now, this morning, I dropped some technicals on Mara over in the Discord. That's the Stock Squad Patreon. That's where myself, Stock Mo, Keenan Grace, and Stock Up with Larry Jones, we give technicals, trade alerts, and answer questions. And I began to drop some technicals there on the miners, and I'm going to go back through and I'm going to drop some technicals on some of the others, Riot and CleanSpark, because we're going to be watching this and we're going to be watching Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin wants to turn around and one of these companies becomes the first to mine this, essentially this new opportunity, as we could put it, it could be a turning moment. And so I'm going to break that down. Judith, thank you for joining me. I know you're traveling. You're over in the Midwest today, but appreciate you chiming in. And also, I'm glad to introduce the fam, the Stock Josh fam, to Judah, who is actually one of the crypto masterminds behind the scenes. I talk crypto with this guy. We get into the details of these stories. Judah is a true degen. I think that I might be too wealthy to be a degen. Judah, explain the term degen.
Degens are the ones who are looking for the most lucrative opportunities that also require the greatest risk and the greatest difficulty. But if you're willing to go deep into the trenches, there's a high potential for reward.
Now, I like to follow Judah into those trenches. However, my risk tolerance is a little bit lower than his. I'm more at the point of looking at wealth preservation. And Judah, you're building your fortune off of some of these up and coming opportunities. I know you and I have had a ton of conversations over the last year about dumping some of the legacy coins that is so easy to hold on to because you spent a number of years researching them. Now we're getting into this new space. Is there any alt that you particularly like right now that you're watching?
There's a lot of interesting coins coming about. We've got some meme coins, Brett, and obviously Doge, the original. It's definitely a good time to be looking into putting some money into these coins because everything's down, it's all in the garbage, and a good degen knows that when there's blood in the streets, that's the time to put your money in.
Yeah, and
Never bet the house though.
yeah, I agree. Leave some cash on the side to take advantage of whatever opportunity arises. But let me
Yes.
quickly comment on Doge since you evoked the Doge name. Two things. In the Discord, I saw somebody throw out what I refer to as fake news. I saw over in the Discord this morning, Judah, that somebody made mention. They showed a tweet of Elon saying, "I'm going to add Dogecoin to the X platform real soon," right? And I thought, well, yeah, that'd be great. I immediately went over to the chart and the price was sort of sitting on its current structural low. And I'm gonna just tell you guys that the day that Elon actually gives us a post like that, you're gonna know it because Doge is gonna soar. It's not gonna be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta be careful. There's still a lot of fake news out there. And then I would just want to leave this thought regarding Doge that all that's happened, and I think it's always incredible because when you study the charts, they actually tell you what's going to happen soon in the world. And you're like, well, how can the charts sort of predict what might happen around the corner? Dogecoin showed strength in this, knowing that we are coming up to a moment where the market was going to sell off. It actually went up to the level above so that when that pressure came, it sold off to what used to be resistance now became support. Now, if Doge had not made that climb and it had remained moving sideways and this news event had occurred, then it would have fallen lower than I think the market makers wanted it to fall. And so the fact that it moved in advance of this news is also bullish to me because it tells me that that those who are positioning Doge and building it up are planning a future breakout move. And so it's another reason for me to be bullish on Doge. But I'm just going to leave it there. I've actually got other stuff to talk about, but this particular video went a little bit longer. And so I'm going to come back and do another video to break down the SPX, some big tech stocks, and some other altcoins. Judah, thank you for joining me. I appreciate all of you guys for joining me. Hit the subscribe to keep getting this type of content and join us over in the Discord for more technicals on the miners as well as stocks and crypto. I'm going to leave a link for that in the top pinned comment. Thank you again, Judah, for joining us. Peace and blessings. Take care, everybody.